Hello guys and welcome back. In this video, we're going to go over our first project, which is going to be a picture converter. The source code will be uploaded on GitHub. The main modules that we require for this project is Pillow and tkinter. OS is built in, so you don't have to pip install that. I'll add the commands to pip install tkinter and pill down in the description. So let's take a look at the folder, the construction of the folder. We have the main folder, which is JPG to PNG. I have one for converted images, one for test images, and the program itself. In my test images, I have a few JPG pictures that we can use to convert it. And without further ado, let's get started. So with tkinter, you can create something called GUI or graphical user interfaces. And the main component of a GUI or a GUI is the window. So let's create a window. So to create a window, you just have to type window equals tk, and we've imported that over here. Now the reason why I'm not just typing import tkinter is because you don't want to import all the modules at the same time, because obviously these modules are huge, right? Tkinter could be a huge module, and if we're going to import all of them and all the unnecessary functions, it's going to use a lot of space, and we don't want that. We want to make our program as optimized as possible, which is why I'm just importing the dependencies beforehand. Now we've created the window, but if I run the program, you won't see anything, and the program closes automatically. This is because we're not making this run in any sort of a loop. So in order for us to make this run in a loop so that it stays alive, we can just type window.main_loop. Now you can see that it's running and it has created a window for us. Let's set a default size for it. I'm just going to say window.geometry, and we can pass in the parameters. I'm just going to say 400 to 300, and I'm going to make sure this is not resizable. So for you to do that, you can just type window.resizable false comma false. Now let's run this. Oops, my spelling. Geometry. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Now we have a fixed uh, window and you can't resize this. Awesome. We have the very basics done. Now let's create all of our labels and our buttons. A label is nothing but a piece of text on the window in tkinter. So for us to do that, we've imported label over here, and the syntax is pretty much the same for any sort of GUI or any UI element you want to add. It's the class itself. You call the class of the function, and then you type in the first parameter is going to be the window. So obviously a program can have different windows. I'm going to put this on my main window. We're not going to have other windows in this program anyways. So it's going to be window text equals, let's just say, image converter. So this is going to be the title. And you can also set your font. I'm going to set mine to Candara and the font size to be 16. Now we have to pack this because, okay, you know what? Let's just run this now. You can see that there's no text yet. That's because we haven't specified to tkinter where exactly to position this. It has instantiated the label, but it doesn't know where to position it. So now, in order for us to position it, we can just type dot pack. Now this means it will automatically make sure the label is in the center. So I mean the center from the top. So we have image converter over here. Everything's working fine. Now let's create our buttons. But before we create our button, let's create our combo box. Now the combo box is present in the TTK module. So we can just type TTK. So we have to save these in a variable because we have to get hold of these values later on. So we can just type our output box equals TTK dot capital C combo box, and then same the window, and we have to specify our values. Our values are going to be all the image types. So it's going to be PNG, and then it's going to be JPG. We'll also say JPEG. I've tried it for ICO and it did not work. So let's just stick to these right now. And make sure you don't add dot pack over here, because if you add dot pack over here, dot pack does not return anything, which means this is going to be of none type. We'll do the same for the input box, but the input box has to come before the output box. So I'm going to put that over here and type that. Oops, keep messing it up. Input box. There we go. Now we have our input box set. Let's try to run this. Okay, we have everything. It seems like everything's working, but there's no space between these elements. The problem with using .pack is that tkinter automatically centers it and positions it for you, and you cannot add any sort of padding. But I found a way to cheat around this. What we can do is we could create something called we can create a function called space, and I'm going to add the default parameter as 1. Now we know what a label does, right? It creates text. So what I did was I am going to iterate n number of times, or uh, as as long as times is not equal to I. And what we're going to do over here is we're just going to say label window, and I'm just going to create an empty label over here, dot pack. Now if you take a look at this, if I type space here and space, it's just going to create an empty label, which means it's also going to not affect the performance that much because it's just literally just space over there. So now we have some space. And the good part about this is I can even add like maybe 2 over here to increase the spacing. And this works pretty well. So I'm going to use that. Now we obviously need only one more part over here. We need the button. So to create the buttons similar to the label, you just have to type button and then which window my text is going to be convert. And I'm going to copy this over here for the font, and we can pack this. Awesome. Now this should be working. Now we have our convert button, we have our combo box all ready. Awesome. Now let's talk about the conversion part. So in order for us to assign a command to this button, we just have to type command equals convert, for example. We don't have to call the function, we just have to say convert. And over here, I'm going to create a function called convert. This function is going to be quite simple. What we're going to do is we're first off going to get hold of the input value. So to get hold of the input value, we're just going to type input, capital I input equals input box dot get. Now if I print out input for you, let's see what happens. Now PNG, and if I click on convert, it says PNG, but in tkinter, in order for you to save files and to manipulate files, anything related to file types, you need to make sure it's all in lowercase and add a prefix of star dot. In order for us to do that, all we can do is type dot lower over here, which means it will lower everything down. And we can also add our prefix like this, star dot. Awesome, now we have our prefix ready. Now if I print input over here and just say PNG, it says star.png. Now we're adding a star over here to make sure it includes all files that are PNG. And this is useful when we're instantiating our file dialog. Let's see how to do that. So to create a file dialog, this file dialog function will return a file name. So we can just say file name equals file dialog dot ask open file name, which means it's going to open a system dialog to open a file. We can select any file we want. And this is going to have a few parameters. The title is going to be select an image, for example, and make sure you add a comma. Initial dir is going to be dot slash, which means it's going to be at the root directory, wherever it's going to open. And also our file types. So file types equals, which is going to give. So it's going to be a list and then a tuple. Inside this, we're going to assign a variable for input. So it's going to be images and then input. Now you'll see how this works. If you're getting confused, now you'll be able to see how it works. If I just build it, PNG to JPG. Now if I click on convert, you see it says images over here, and the value input is already binded to that images value. So that's good. Now we can, if I print out file name over here, I'm just going to say PNG, for example, to JPG. Convert. Actually, let me do JPG to PNG because I only have JPG pictures. We have to go to converted, test images. And if I print Doge out, for example, it prints this out. Now, we need to essentially take hold of the last element over here and then make it doge.png, right? If we're converting it to PNG. It's actually quite simple to do that. Let's see how to do. So I'm going to create a new variable called name equals file name dot split, and inside I'm going to add these brackets, the slash. What this is going to do is it's going to convert this into a list, and it's going to separate all the values which have a slash to it. So for example, if I just convert, wait, oops, I have to make sure it's JPG. Now if I go here, yep, now you can see it has my drive, desktop, tools, all of these separated. Now I'm pretty sure most of you guys can see where I'm going with this. Now I can just say name equals name and the last element. So I have the file now, but the problem is I still have the file type. We can just do the same thing over here. We can basically say name equals name dot split, but this time with the dot. So let me just print this out so that you don't get confused. So I'm again going to say JPG to PNG, converted images, test images, and Doge. Now I just have doge.jpg. Now if I do dot split again with the dot, it's going to separate these into two different values, and I can just get the first element. So I'm just going to say name equals name of the first one. Now, for us to save this image for us to convert this image, we can use Pillow. Pillow is something that's used to manipulate pictures, and it's very useful and very, very beginner friendly. So I'm going to say image equals image.open file name. So now we have to make sure we're saving this file, and we have to save it in the extension that we have provided, or else it won't make sense. So let's do the same thing that we did with the input. So I can copy paste this over here. So we're essentially just filtering the output box. So we don't need the star over here because we're just getting the extension. Now I just need to make sure I add name to the extension. So I can just type name equals name plus output so that we will have, for example, doge.png instead of jpg this time. And the next part is quite simple. We just have to save this. For us to save this, we just have to, I want to save this in the converted images directory. So in order for us to do that, we have to get the current directory, add the converted images to it, and then add the name to it, right? So we've imported the OS module, so we can just type os.get current working directory plus, and then we can type converted images, and then we can just add name to it. Now let's see if this works. So it's JPG to PNG, convert, test images, Doge, and let's wait. Oops, I used the wrong variable name. Let's try that now. JPG to PNG, convert, test images, Doge, and let's wait. Okay, no errors. So if I go to my folder, converted images, now we have the PNG version of this particular file. So if I open this up, it's doge.png, and it is indeed a PNG file. If we open properties to check, yes, it is a PNG file. So Pillow automatically converts it for us. Now let's try to convert an image from PNG to JPG. Let's see if that works. So PNG to JPG, convert pictures, and I'm going to go to this image, for example. And it says cannot write mode RGBA as JPEG. That's pretty weird, isn't it? Well, the main reason is because JPEG or JPG does not support transparency. We have RGBA, and this A stands for alpha, as we saw before. Alpha is the intensity or the transparency. So we have to make sure we convert it to make it in such a way that it does not have transparency. So to that we can just type img.convert RGB. Now this should work perfectly fine. So PNG to JPG, convert pictures, and I'm going to convert it to this. And it says finished conversion. Let's check it out. Converted images, and it worked just fine. Awesome. So now we have completely finished our project, and this works fine. You can obviously build upon this, like you can add some exception handling. You can add some try and error, and not only that, this is a project that Awesome. Now, we've obviously finished our project. Awesome. We have finally completed our project. Congratulations. This is obviously a basic project, but I'm sure it was able to provide with you a lot of information. In the next video, we'll be going over another project that's the image converter. It's going to be a lot more complex, and we'll also be talking about OpenCV. This project is something which you can build upon. You can add some settings, for example, better UI, you can add some exception handling, etc. Not only that, this project is good enough to add to your resume, which is a huge plus point. So work on this project a little more, change the code. Maybe you could probably find out some better ways to convert an image. There could obviously be a lot more ways. You could probably try them out. You can add different file types, etc. Maybe host this on a website using Python's Flask, and you might be able to make some profit out of it too. The next project is going to be a little more intense, but make sure you understand the concepts of this and the previous video first so that you can add the next project to your resume too. But that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.